Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Vindira with By Individual Health and Wellness. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm using my phone right now, so hopefully you can see and hear me. So today we're going to go over meal planning. That was some of the questions that I got asked this past week on how do I get organized, how do I stay on track, and how do I create a meal planning list. So I'm here to show you today what I do. So the first thing I use is my journal, a food tracker. So it is an elimination diet and reintroduction journal that I created, but it's so full of information in there. So I want to show you today how to use it. And you can definitely make your own printable sheet, write on a notebook, anything that you can do, okay? So the first thing that I do is make a what I can eat list. And that's going to be very important to make because you want to know what you're actually eating. So in my book, I have a blank copy here for you. And I also have a sample of what I have that you can use. You can copy off of it or you can just make a list off your own. But it's generally to give you an example of what I would pick on mine. So, for example, for the carbohydrates, I have rice, gluten-free pasta, plantain, tortillas, and oats. My proteins, I have fish, chicken breast, chicken, legs and thighs, and turkey. For healthy fats, I have olive oil and avocado oil. Vegetables, I have a list of all the vegetables here, and fruits, more options for fruits. And I even have a guide that has an Eat the Rainbow list, which I always recommend that everyone try to follow so you can include more fresh fruits and vegetables and a colorful variety each day. And all that's included inside the book. So then, for the vegetables, I have cucumbers, and I'm very specific when I write things down as well. So cucumbers without seeds, because I don't like the seeds in the cucumbers, or in like zucchinis, they kind of cause some, gastric distress, so I don't like eating them. We have broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, carrots. For fruits, we have apples, strawberries, bananas, oranges, dragon fruit. So whatever you eat, definitely put it on the list. Condiments, I like Primal Kitchen's ketchup and mustard, and then almond butter that we make either fresh from almonds or we'll use like the Barney butter. For the miscellaneous, I put down spices on here. Paprika, garlic, oregano, parsley, cumin, even adobo from Frontier Co-op. That's my favorite one that I use. And so that's my what I can eat list. So from the what I can eat list, after you create your own, you're gonna start with a weekly meal planner. So this is, again, my example that I have in here. It also comes with a little grocery shopping list. I definitely use the Amazon app because we have Whole Foods. We like to shop at Whole Foods and at Publix and sometimes Sprouts. So I like to make a general food list on when I'm, talking to Alexa. So for the weekly meal plan, what I did was first create a food list, okay? So based off of what you can eat, go ahead and get specific. Write down things like, if you're eating rice, what kind of rice? Well, there's white rice, fried rice, rice crackers, right? For gluten-free pasta, spaghetti, or penne, those are my choices that we would eat. For the proteins, if I put fish, be specific. What kind of fish? I have salmon, and then how do you prepare it? I make baked salmon or I make curried salmon. And then I would fry fish, like fried flounder. For a chicken breast, well, what do you do with it? Well, I make either nuggets or grilled chicken breast. And then for the chicken wings, legs, and thighs, I'm air frying it or even just frying it in oil. And then for turkey, I have patties or making it into just plain ground turkey. So those are how you need to be specific, and that's how I like to make my list. So it's very specific, so that way when I create my meal planning list, I can pull exactly what I eat from here and just make a no-brainer list, right? So from my meal plan list, some examples that I have, and I can even post this in the files in my private group so that way you have it just as an example. But grilled chicken, marry me pasta, veggie medley, and broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, bell peppers, or fruit and veggie salad. Another option would be baked chicken quesadillas with bell peppers and onions, and the nutritional yeast sauce, because that's our cheese sauce. Plantain roti or tortilla with shredded baked chicken and pico de gallo, right? So using this list, now you can plug it into your meal planner, your weekly meal planner. And then you can add your grocery list, again, either here or even in a notes or in your app. So what I really like about this book too, you can use it not just as a elimination diet or reintroduction. What you can use it as is after you meal plan, you have your foods, start using it to track your symptoms. You know, now you already have the guesswork out. Just copy down, what'd you eat for the morning? Are you tracking your glucose levels? You can include that here too. And then your emotions, behaviors, aches, pains, symptoms. Track your poop as well. And in this book itself, it has a poop chart. Let's see if I can find it. So right here, it has a poop chart, and it also has a urine chart. That way you have everything in one book, right? So track your defecation, your poop, the number. You want to have like a 3 to 4, number 3 to 4 in the Bristol poop chart. At least 1 to 3 really good poops a day. And then if you have any pain, mucus, or blood, note that down. And although I don't have a time slot, you can definitely write your own times in, or just use the morning, you know, mid-morning, lunch, you know, after lunch, dinner, and then, you know, after dinner. Then for the urine, you're going to track your P number as well. And if there's any odor or pain, or if there's any blood. And then any physical activity or mindfulness. So you'd want to write down the type and how long. So if you worked out today, if you did like chest or legs, write that down. If you did a cardio, write that down. If you did mindfulness, you know, like meditations, write that down as well. And how long. You also would track your sleep, and then also your water intake. And then one of the questions I had gotten was, how much water should you be drinking a day? And I do like to say half your body weight in ounces. And of course, you could drink a little bit more just because, well, we live in Florida, it's really hot some days. So depending on how you feel, if you did exercise, you definitely want to make sure you're hydrated, make sure you have electrolytes, right? A little sprinkle of Himalayan pink salt if you wanted to inside your water, and there you have some electrolytes. So when you eat something, that's why I want you to track how you're feeling, because that way you can tell if it's related. You're looking for patterns, and that's really the big thing that I keep trying to tell everyone. Like, you want to know how you feel when you eat certain foods. I actually still am tracking things that we eat. Like, we just introduced kidney beans, so it's a legume, and we've been a couple of years without it. And so tracking our own symptoms is actually pretty good. So we did really good with it. I am adding it back into our diet. Of course, we have to pressure cook it and make sure that we soak it and rinse it and all that stuff. So let's see what else we can go over in this one. So for every week, it's the same thing. So we have this going for a couple of days, for 7 days, tracking how you feel. And then, of course, we end up with our next meal planner. And so the same thing again, you're just going to grab your meal planning list, and so here. So then you just grab your meal plan list that you have and just write it all down. This is my original one, if you wanted to see. I just started circling things, just make it really simple, because it does change. Sometimes we have like things that we really enjoy eating on like a weekly basis, and sometimes like, okay, I got sick of that, so we have to kind of change things around. But like one of our favorite things was eating was tzatziki sauce and grilled chicken, and then grilled or baked chicken with mashed potatoes. So just write down what you like to eat as a meal after you have your what I can eat list, and then you can plug it into your meal planner. So let's see, some of the other questions that I've gotten was, how do I get organized and stay on track? So we've been doing this for quite a few years, and so we kind of know how much protein we need and what carbs we're going to eat, even if we're like, you know, we don't get to fully meal plan, right? So we usually know we're going to buy like, you know, two or four chickens, whole chickens we like to purchase. And then if they don't have it, we'll buy a few packages of the breast. We'll cut it up, we'll cook that. And then maybe 1 or 2 packages of turkey, ground turkey, and then fish if it's on sale, or just if we're like, hey, we need to take some fish, you know, we need that DHA. So we just have our general proteins that we know that we're going to eat every week. And then from there, we can just pick out our carbs if we're like on a time crunch. But usually we kind of know what we want to eat looking at our calendar. So I have a command center. It has all of our activities on it. It has our work schedules on there, our school schedules. So looking at that list, I can say, okay, we have, you know, some free time this early on in the week. And then I'm able to say, okay, we can cook a more extravagant meal like chicken tikka with, you know, tortillas or rotis, and then we'll put pakoras, versus let's bake a chicken and a vegetable medley, put that inside the oven, and then it's hands on, it's hands off, right? So that's how I organize our meal planning and staying organized with that. That's really it that I want to talk about for today. That was one of the big questions that I had, was just the water intake, how much do you drink, and how do you meal plan, and how do you get organized and stay on track? Now, it is, you know, our pantry is packed with snacks that we eat and that we only could eat, so we don't get tempted with other, you know, things that we can't. Like if it's, you know, and we found the swabs, which I talked about in my first wellness, you know, Wednesday wellness video, was the swabs that we use. Because, you know, you still want to have some enjoyment, right? We always talk about the, you know, the 70-30 rule, and so, or 80-20 rule. And I believe that we can do that, but we have to make sure we're staying within our guidelines of what makes us feel good. Because when you don't feel good, then you feel like crap, right? And then you don't feel like doing anything, and it can ruin your mood. It can ruin everybody else's mood. So we don't want that roller coaster effect, right? So just choosing, you know, the 80-20 rule will be ideal, and finding the essential swaps that you can make that make you still feel like you're living life, you're enjoying your day, right? And you're enjoying life. So if you have any more questions for me, do leave a DM, or you can post it underneath in my private Facebook group. If you have any questions for me other than that, thank you, and take care, and have a great rest of your week.